So now that Israel's going back into Gaza to continue their just war of dismantling Hamas and getting rid of their key personnel and infrastructure, there's no doubt going to be widespread condemnation that Israel's committing war crimes, they're targeting innocents, blah, blah, blah. All these lies are nonsense. I want to show you this new clip of Mosab Hassan Yousef, the son of a Hamas co-founder and co-leader. He grew up in the heart of Hamas in Judea and Samaria, in the West Bank. He knows all about Hamas's aims, their ambitions, what they do. And he explains the most important principle you need to understand about the Israeli-Arab conflict, which is that every single thing the Arab side, the Palestinians, lament about is self-inflicted. From displacement to occupation to security checkpoints to blockades, even though it's really just censoring for weapons, everything. Since its inception, the conflict's inception, it's self-inflicted because they chose Jew hatred over peace. Have a watch of this clip.
They are connected. And the problem, this type of delusional people, they cannot see the origins of their suffering. They create it. They are the architects of their own misery. But then they come on blaming the innocent people who didn't have anything to do with it. Like, for example, the destruction of Gaza. Whose responsibility is that? And today, they want also to blame the Jewish people worldwide, and they went on a Jewish hunt. What is this? When are they going to do something about it? Why do we have the police? Why do we have the army? People don't feel safe. When I walk down the streets, they recognize me. And I made a promise that I will never hide. And I am an individual, I'm not an organization. I cannot afford having security detail over my head around the clock. I cannot do this. We cannot afford it. We're normal people. And I want to walk freely in my city. When I left Ramallah, I said, goodbye Ramallah, and goodbye violence, and goodbye this death culture. I thought I came to a safe place. And I lost all my security. I said, take everything. I don't want anything from you. I'll walk alone. I don't care. For freedom. And here we are. They think they have the right to intimidate us, to accuse us, to harass us, and possibly to stab us as well. Why? Because we are genocidal. We are killing the children in Gaza. And that's it. Now, this is the new belief. This is the new belief now. Palestine is a very dangerous trigger. For those, I know the majority here understand, because they are related to Israel in a way or another. But for those who don't understand, who are not familiar with the region, who haven't been there, Palestine is a very dangerous concept. It depends on the destruction of Israel.
It's truly astonishing how he can see things so clearly, given his upbringing. And it really shows that the fact that just because you have a certain upbringing, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to necessarily have to think a certain way. And as he says, Palestine really just is about Israel's destruction. That's what it's based on. We're told a lie time and again that Palestine, the Palestinian cause, is based on a desire for an indigenous people to have self-determination in their homeland, which they were forcibly displaced from. Every part of that statement is a lie from beginning to end. The whole concept of a Palestinian people was created in the 60s as an effort to try and gain the hearts and sympathies of the world simply to work on Israel's destruction. You know, in 1947, when the United Nations proposed partitioning the land, They weren't going to call the Arab one a Palestinian state. They were going to call it an Arab state, because they hadn't invented the term Palestinian. In fact, when you referred to Palestinians, usually people thought you were referring to Jews. Jews called themselves Palestinians, because they were living in British Mandate of Palestine, or prior to that, the Ottoman Empire of Palestine. But there were all empires controlling this territory, and it was just a regional term. The thing that I find most powerful is this map. What is this map? This is a map of what would have happened, God forbid, had the Arabs succeeded in 1948 of destroying Israel, God forbid. Study carefully. Because here you see Egypt, Jordan, Syria and Lebanon all having a chunk of the land. Where's Palestine? Where's the Palestinian entity that they are supposedly all fighting for? The Palestinian people having their own state. Isn't that what this is all about? No. The Arabs will just control the land, proving very clearly that this is not about self-determination. This is not about a unique people desiring a unique piece of land in their historic homeland. Or rather, it is, but it's about the Jews having that and the Arabs trying to stop it. The fact is, as you can see from this map, there is no desire for a Palestinian state. It wasn't even spoken about then. It was simply created as a cynical ploy to try to undermine Israel from the 60s onwards. But really, we see here, there's no desire. And the Nakba, the catastrophe that they talk about, which is about the supposed displacement of the Arabs, and I say supposed because, first of all, a lot of it happened. I'm not denying that the displacement happened, but a lot of it happened because Arab countries, Jordan, Syria, Egypt, said, the military leaders said, leave, let us wipe out all the Jews, throw them into the sea, then you can come back. And some were displaced because, yes, Israel's fighting a defensive war, but you launch a war against us and now that's my fault? I think so many people think Israel started a war, kicked everyone out. That's not how it happened. Israel said, okay, we'll accept a partition, we'll have our state. Arabs, you can have your state. And the Arabs went to war. And the Nakba, the catastrophe, originally was referring to the fact that the Arabs were unable to destroy Israel. It's amazing how things have been twisted so much. That was the catastrophe for them. They couldn't get rid of Israel. And they called it, people often try to secularize it all and say, no, it's all just about politics and human rights. The Arab leadership in 1948 and basically described it as a holy war. They said this is a holy war against Israel because it's so threatening to them to have an Israel in the heart of the Middle East, to see the Jewish people restore sovereignty to their land. Why is that so threatening? Because it is such a blot on your Islamist expansionist worldview that says Islam is going to dominate the world. Islam is highly political, or it can be. And when the Jews are second-class citizens, or they're wandering the earth, or they don't have a state of their own, it's easy to adopt the narrative that the Jews are rejected by God. But when the prophecy of God saying, oh yes, I will exile you, but I will return you at the end of days, when that starts to come to fruition, oh boy, is that threatening to a worldview that said the Jewish people are no longer the vessel of God's voice in this world. That's what this really comes down to. And just as much of the Christian world has gone through a theological evolution to make peace and even embrace the Jewish people, so too will the Islamic world need to do that. Because as Mosab rightly points out, Israel is not going anywhere. Hi, thank you so much for watching. To watch another one, click here. To stay up to date with all our content, click here to subscribe. And if you're able to, you can help support JTV to grow and grow by clicking join below this video, where you can become a member and get perks including early access to videos and private live discussions with me. But most of all, you'll be partnering with us on our mission to change the world.